What is up, everybody? Welcome to AK Plays. I'm AK. Let's play. Alright, everybody, so this one is my CRAZY Banshee DPS build, and I think it's a bit of a striker counter. I'll get to that later because I don't want to get your hopes up. It's not confirmed yet. I just started using this build, but from what I've seen, it has huge potential to be a striker counter, and boy, does it do some damage. Oh my gosh. Alright, but I'll get right into showing it to you, and I'll talk more about the build and the inner workings of it later. So firearms were 8,200, stamina we're at 4,900, and you can see that we have a house as our primary with unforgiving, responsive, and card counter, and then look at those attachments. So if you think about it, when card counter's on, responsive, and unforgiving are all procced, you are getting some insane bonus damage on that house. But here we got our lightweight with sustained predatory determined, and those are the attachments. And that's great for getting your health and ult back, which is very, very important on this build. Pistol, we just keep that cool-headed one around. Chest piece, we are rolled for firearms, health, enemy armor damage, and kill XP. Kill XP should be ammo capacity, and enemy armor damage can stay like that or become skill haste or exotic damage resilience. On the mask, we are rolled for stamina with crit chance and blind death resistance, which blind death should probably be burn or damage to elites. On the knees, we are rolled for firearms with health, and then we have trash miners. They should be shock, burn, and either bleed or damage to elites. And then on the holster, we've got crit chance. And on the gloves, we've got rolled for firearms, SMG damage, crit chance, and crit damage. And in the backpack, we've got firearms roll, health, and disrupt resistance. I'm keeping disrupt. You can switch it if you have something you'd prefer. I just think it's good to have a little resistance to everything. And then down here you can see the gear set bonuses. I keep a 6-piece rather than doing a 5-piece with an exotic or a high-end. I'll explain why in a minute. Our mods, you can see we have stamina crit chance and pulse crit hit damage on both. And then on the holster we have our pulse crit hit chance. That's important. I'll show you why later. And on the knees, we've got stamina crit chance and pulse crit hit damage. On the mask, we've got stamina crit chance. And on the chest, we've got firearms crit chance and firearms crit chance. And now you will see the cool part about this build. We are at 51% crit chance and almost 100% crit damage. And then you can see our enemy armor damage is very high. We have a little bit of damage to elites and no skill haste. But this is what's cool. The pulse is at 9%, and you can see its crit hit damage is going to bring us up about 15%. That's going to put us at the maximum crit chance and a ton of crit damage. I think about 110 if my math's right. Probably isn't. But the booster you can see for even more damage and more damage resistance. And then our alt we keep around a green because you're probably going to need it. This is a really squishy build. For the talents, we have Adrenaline and Critical Save. Adrenaline to keep off status effects, Critical Save to give us resilience. And then we have Combat Medic, but this is kind of a solo build, so if you're running it solo, don't be afraid to put on Chain Reaction instead of Combat Medic. You want your nades to be extremely powerful because, trust me, you're going to want to use nades because this is a very, very squishy build and you have to be very close for it to work properly. And then we have On the Move as our final one to give us even more resilience. And then this build, I run it as a 6-piece over a 5-piece because I've seen the Savage Gloves version and I disagree because as you see on this one, we have maximum crit chance with the 6-piece. And then I've seen the Barrett's Vest one. I kind of like it. I'm going back and forth at the moment, but I'm kind of liking this version a little bit more. I think the base stats just really do it for me. And then here I've got some clips, a little bit of gameplay so you can see how this actually performs. I've only run it for about a day and a half now, so I'm not giving you a full performance review with all of the numbers I've seen and a ton of manhunts and everything, but it's a little bit of gameplay so you can see the crazy damage that it does and the huge potential that this has. I don't think I'm going to make any changes to this build at this point because from what I saw today and a little bit yesterday, oh my gosh, this build is so fun. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of the gameplay. You can see how quick people melt. Now these guys, I should probably preface this. These guys are very nice. We were in game chat and we were talking. They were really cool dudes, and so nothing against them in this game clip. They just, I mean, they're fighting a Banshee and they're rogue, so it's a pretty rough time. So they were really nice. We we did this little thing here. I told them, hey, you guys want to go rogue? Let's quick fight. At this point, we weren't friendly. They were just we were neutral. And then after that happened, we met over here at West 42nd, and I was like, they were asking what the build was and how it was hitting that hard. And they wanted to do some 1Vs, and so we did some 1Vs. And as you can see here, that's the highest number I saw today, was a 35.8. I don't know if my screen's fuzzy. I couldn't see it that clearly, but it looks like 35.8 to me. And if that is the case, then it ties my Lone Star for the most damage. However, in that case where I just got that 35.8, I believe I still had the damage bonus from dying to a rogue, and I had pretty much everything procced. I had Unforgiving, Responsive, my booster, the Pulse. I'm not sure if I had my card counter on the right card. I could probably go back and look, but you probably saw it already. Either way, you can see that this build is melting these guys. I was just baffled by that. But we tried all different ways, them going rogue, me going rogue, both of us going rogue, and it still performed very well. Obviously, its one issue is survivability. You can see that it's very, very squishy when people start shooting at me. However, I never saw it as super squishy. I still felt like I could move around without getting insta-killed, and that's pretty cool, especially that is my favorite example right there. I was fighting two people at once unintentionally. This guy just came over to interrupt a 1v, and I killed the guy that I was 1ving, and now I'm moving on to this other gentleman, and he does not fare very well. Either way, that was pretty funny, and I found that extremely fun. But I didn't see the survivability as a huge issue. I thought the DPS was crazy, and I think this is a good build. It's got a lot of potential. When I run into Banshees in the DZ, I usually hate them because they do so much damage. But this is a cool example here. I'll get back to that, what I was saying in a second. You saw that Striker just run up on me. He obviously had a lot of stacks. He hit very hard, and he just came from a bunch of NPCs. But I don't know if he comes in with stacks in this fight, but either way, I popped his ult, and then he popped mine. But to go head-to-head like that with what is considered the best build in the game at the moment, I'm feeling like this is pretty strong. And then, of course, now at the top of the stairs here, I'm going to turn around and pop this gentleman's ult as well. And then he unfortunately does kill me, because I didn't have a second ult for that one. Either way, this build hits so hard. It's extremely fun to use, and I recommend you try it out. I'm not saying that it's better than Striker. I'm just saying that it's definitely competitive, and I think that in some cases it can be a counter to Striker. The way you're going to want to run this build is, if you're doing the same way I have the build, you're going to want to throw nades on corners, use very tight funnels, and be in buildings. It's not great in the open because you can get beamed. You're not running an AR. And obviously if a Deadeye's out there, you're going to get sniped pretty hard with this low stamina. However, if you're in close quarters, I think this is an extremely strong build. You're going to want to catch people off guard, you're going to want to use nades, get funnels, and quickly burn people. Because if you get in a straight face tank, I mean, as you can see in the 1Vs, you can win them. It's just that if it's a Striker that already has stacks, it's going to be a really tough fight. So be careful with this build with the low stamina, but enjoy the unbelievable DPS. This is the only build I've seen so far, other than Deadeye, that's rivaled my Lone Star in DPS. So I think it has huge potential, and you're going to probably see some more videos to come from this build.